Hi, I'm Jason and this is Level Up Hobbies, where I build, paint, and play tabletop games. Today I'm going to continue my contrast painting series where I take a model and I paint it up to parade-ready standards using contrast paints and highlights. Now today we're going to be painting the dreaded Black Legion Chaos Space Marine chapter. So sit back and relax, let's get painting. Alright, got a Black Legion Chaos Space Marine here, and I have primed him black using some Vallejo Black Surface Primer. And next we are going to go ahead and give him a zenithal highlight with some Citadel Gray Sear. Now this will be a pretty heavy highlight, covering most of the miniature, just leaving the recesses dark. And I know what you're saying, Jason, why are you spraying a model that's going to be painted black, a light gray color? Well, that's because I am using the contrast paints, and I want that Black Templar contrast paint that I'm using to really shine and do its job. So I'm gonna give it this highlight and then we'll come back to it. Okay, let's start adding some color to this guy. I'm now going to paint his armor black again, using Citadel Black Templar contrast paint. I never said I do things easy. Could have just left his armor black. Been fine with it. Focus here. Actually, I think the black is one of my favorite contrast colors here. It covers so good. And I haven't noticed it getting as splotchy as some of the other colors do. Not saying that it doesn't, just I haven't really noticed it as much. Okay, I'm going to work on the trim for this guy, and for this we're going to be painting it all in Balthazar gold. Okay, so the trim is all painted, covered all in some Balthazar gold. So now that that's looking all nice and shiny, obviously our next step is to cover that up, make it look dirty. So for that, we're going to use some Citadel snakebite leather contrast paint. And we're gonna get all dirty up in here. Now that the trim is all kind of grimy and dirty now, we are going to go ahead and highlight that with some Citadel Sycorax bronze. And I'm just going to focus on making little scratches and dings and dots. I'm going to stay away from hard edge highlights unless it's an edge that would be like, like banged a lot. So like maybe like on the pauldrons, I might give like a kind of a rough edge highlight on those, but most of the other stuff, it's just going to be dings and scratches. Going to go through and paint all of the leather portions. Going to base them in Wraithbone. For his little tabard or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to paint it a combination of, it's about a 1-to-1 of Flesh Terror's red and Gore Gruntifer. And this gives you a really deep red, it's like just a really deep reddish brown. All right, we're going to go through and paint the other portions that are leather. So the pouches and the holster and his belt. And for that, we are using Citadel Contrast Cygor Brown. We're going to start by highlighting up the red leather. And for that, we are using some Cadian Flesh Tone. And we're going to move on to the brown leather, and we're going to highlight that up with some Citadel Rakarth flesh. All right, we're moving on to the head. I went ahead and I based the top of the head, the skin, in some Rakarth flesh, just to give a real pale, fleshy tone. And then now I'm going to give it a coat of Citadel's Contrast Gilliman flesh. And this is just going to be thin, just to get some definition. And I'm probably going to keep most of it down low. Then I'll probably go back over and lighten up that head. Just take a little bit of water in my brush and just kind of thin it up some. All right, now I'm gonna add a little bit of shadow to the face, and for that I'm using some Shaiish purple, and I'm thinning this down with some Lamian medium. I'm just glazing this in under the eyes and around the little faceplate here. And then around where this face mask would go, just kind of show like the skin just really kind of like sickly. And he's also got this Chaos Star that's looks like it's carved into his forehead, so I wanted to put a little bit of color around it to make it look like it is also like inflamed. All right, I'm now going to take a mix of Pallid Witch Flesh and Rakarth Flesh, and I'm going to start highlighting up those spots there, or those spots. I'm going to start highlighting up the head. mixed a little bit of Lamian medium in with it, just to thin it out and kind of make it more of a glaze. And then I just clean my brush off, and I'm just going over with a slightly damp brush to pick up any excess. I don't know if you can really tell, but it's kind of giving me this like really like mottled like skin tone. Alright, and I'm going to just keep layering this up until I get the effect that I'm really looking for. Okay, so here is the head. It's a few little layers of those basically glazes that I made. Just built it up where I wanted. Primarily like around the face mask and stuff. Like it's been on for a long time and there's a lot of irritation and infection around the edges, and then also around that scar. Alright, looks pretty good. Okay, there's a couple bits on here that I want to paint in bone color. This skull on his shin, I don't know, I think it's supposed to be the gold, but I think it'd be cool if it was like an actual demon skull that he, you know, took and grafted onto his shin right here, and also the skulls on the pack here. So I'm going to make them actual bone, and for that I based them in Citadel Wraithbone, and then now I'm going to paint them with the Skeleton Horde contrast color. And if we don't like it, we can always paint over it. Nothing big. Going to highlight up those bone pieces here with some Citadel Screaming Skull. Now going to paint up all of the silver bits using some Iron Warriors. All right, we're going to go ahead and paint his top knot of fury here. And for that, we are going to use Blood Angel's Red contrast paint. I'm going to highlight up that top knot with some Evil Sun Scarlet. Going to highlight up the silver pieces with some Runefang steel. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to finally highlight up the black armor, and for that I am using Citadel's Incubi Darkness. Okay, so I went ahead and I added just a tiny bit of Ulthuan Gray to the Incubi Darkness, because I didn't want to take, 50 layers to layer it up. So this is what it looks like, just lightening it just a little bit. I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to continue with that through the rest of the armor. And we'll see how awesome it looks, if you know what I mean. Nice. All right, I am calling this guy done. He turned out really well. The Incubi Darkness highlight for the black trim really, I don't know, along with that gold, really just gives it this kind of smoky black look that is quite sinister, really. And then his head turned out really well, like real mottled look, almost like veiny, infectious. Overall, this was a pretty fun model to paint. I'm glad I added some variation here with like making the skulls on like these on the pack here, like make them out of bone, and then also on the shin. I don't know, to me sometimes there's just too much of that trim color. I did introduce, another element other than the black with the red, and there's more than I usually would with the handle of the axe and the tabard, but I kept those two parts really dark so it doesn't really stand out from the black like the top knot does. So I think that's enough without being over the top and taking away from the black armor and gold trim, which is really the highlight of the model. All right, I think that's it for this guy. Thanks for joining me. This guy was fun to paint. I'll see you next time. Later. Thanks for joining me here on Level Up Hobbies as I painted this Black Legion Chaos Space Marine. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe below, and then go ahead and smash that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I drop new material. Thanks again, and remember, build, paint, and play tabletop games. Later.